If you're new to SMX and the wonderful world of dirt bike racing, your next natural question might be, how do I learn more? Well, let's go over the different types of Moto Media there is out there in order to follow the sport. So first off, how can you watch the races? Well, in order to watch the race, you need to get the Peacock streaming service. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the whole Peacock thing, but at least it does give me one place that I can sit and watch all the races for the past 3 years or so. And I talked more about this in a previous video that I'll link here at the top of the screen for you. But if you want to see some of the races without buying anything, you can go onto YouTube. Motorsports on NBC put out fairly good overviews and highlight reels of all the races. And channels like Monster Energy Supercross put out the post-race press conference, which gets to interview all the riders that won the race. And I especially like it when they interview the riders because it's a good way to gauge their personalities. And there's also websites I use, like supercrosslive.com and racerxonline.com are a good way to keep track of championship points and see who's winning in the standings. They also have a lot of articles, past and present, that you can read, and a good place for recent moto news. And there's a lot of moto channels that you can watch on YouTube. And this is actually how I first learned about SMX, because I watched the channel The Deegans, because I was a big fan of Brian Deegan when I was a kid. This is how I found out about his son Hayden Deegan and learned that he was one of the best 250 riders in the class right now. And there's some YouTube shows that are kind of tied to NBC. The first one is Title 24, and this is on the Motorsports on NBC YouTube channel. And it has two former racers, Ricky Carmichael and Ryan Villopoto, and they go over some of the most recent races. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Ryan Villopoto, but the two of them do work together well and have some good insights. The next one is the ACNJB show with Adam Cianciarillo and Justin Brayton. And they're both former Supercross racers who also announced the NBC pre-race show called Race Day Live. I like them a lot. They're pretty chill. They also have a lot of racers on for interviews as well. And I've said it before, but I can't get over how much AC looks like the singer Rick Astley. Another channel I recommend is Vital MX, and their main media guy is Lewis Phillips. And I really like him because he's able to get some exclusive interviews with riders and kind of help loosen them up and not feel so stiff.
Hunter Lawrence, real talk here. I'm trying to be a serious journalist. I want to be...
No one wants a serious journalist nowadays.
Really?
Dude, you were talking to me. I told you we were messing with the combobulator, the new blinker fluid, and I told you, didn't I? We were using right-hand screwdrivers.
Right.
We've switched to left-hand screwdrivers.
They also have this channel called Pulp MX, where they have a former mechanic named Steve Mathis who runs it. He oftentimes is able to get past riders to come in for interviews as well, which is one of my favorites. And he and a bunch of other media guys kind of get together and do like a long-form podcast thing. I'll sometimes have it on in the background while I'm doing some other stuff. Some other media guys that also share that channel are Lewis Phillips again and Kellen Brower, where they do a show called LVK. Also, a former racer, Daniel Blair, will go on and do a show with Steve Mathis as well. And I don't really like Steve Mathis because he kind of seems like he's a jerk to his other co-hosts. And who knows, maybe that's the kind of relationship they have where you kind of dog on your friends. But I don't know, it seems like he takes it too far sometimes. And I don't always watch those ones because they are kind of long, but they are very knowledgeable. And I like when they bring up historical things that later on I can go research. But a shorter video format is Main Event Moto, a channel that's done by Daniel Blair. And he goes over just the top moto stories for that week. And one of my all-time favorite channels is Gypsy Tales. The host is Jace McAlpine, and he's an Australian filmmaker. He's always able to get exclusive interviews with riders and other big names in the sport. I always enjoy his interviews, and it has really good production value. Another one is Johnny Hopper, and he's a previous rider that always has some good insights. And I like his videos when he breaks down the riders' techniques and shows why they're so good at what they do. And last year when I was learning about all these people, I found a channel called Bubba's World. And it's hosted by James Stewart, who is my favorite Supercross rider. And I went back and I looked at all of them, even though they're a couple years old, but he had some interviews with some of his best friends and his rivals, and they were able to talk about the good times, about when they were racing. But last year, it didn't seem like it was an active channel anymore. He used to post things about every race, and then he stopped. But this year, it came back.
What's up, guys? You know who it is, your boy JS7, and we are back. The Rewind Show is back.
It's definitely one of the best moto podcasts, and I can't recommend it enough.
Like everybody be like, ah, damn.
Another good channel is called Trackside. The guy behind it is Cinema J, and he has really good production values and makes really entertaining videos. And he's always promoting Christianity on his channels, and so if you like that, you'll definitely be into it as well. But by all means, you don't have to. I mean, I'm atheist, but I still really enjoy his videos. And I get it, I used to be really religious too.
Hello, my name is Elder Price.
Whoa, what was that? Anyway, you should go check out his channel, he's a good guy. And another channel I like is called Moto Media. And this guy is really smart when it comes to knowing all about riders and giving updates on them before race day. He also does some really informative videos about a lot of the history of motocross. So he's a good person to learn from, and I really enjoy his videos because he knows a lot more about motocross than I do. Another good one is DNX Show with Doc and Josh. And it's run by some fans of the sport who like to post their live reactions to the races and talk a lot about the sport. And they have a lot of chemistry together and work together well, so it makes it entertaining. Now, if you're looking for a big MAGA conservative moto creator, look no further than Moto Media. He's a journalist with a lot of insight to the sport and makes consistent videos. And he's political too. He voices his support for Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and is an anti-vaxxer. But if you're looking for more of a left-leaning moto creator, then I'd look no further than Moto Media. He's always fighting for increased rider safety regulations. He favors a riders' union. He promotes woke stuff like electric motorcycles. He also exposes the greed of big corporations like Feld Motorsports, and wants SMX to have more profit sharing between the riders and teams. Almost like the means of production should be owned collectively. In all fairness, this just shows that no one can be categorized as just one thing. Now, Chris Cooksey is an excellent source of information for motocross stuff, and I'll always get behind his support for riders and trying to better the sport. And I tend to trust people who are actually political versus those who pretend to be apolitical. So as you can tell, there's more than enough Moto Media out there to keep a fan busy. So let me know, which channels are your favorite, or what resources do you use to keep up with the sport? And speaking of Moto Media, feel free to watch some of my previous videos to learn more. Thanks for watching and enjoy the races.